The Encounter. Introduction to the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire was known far and wide as the most powerful and advanced civilization in the galaxy. Their technology, their military might, and their sheer arrogance were unmatched. They had dominated countless worlds, subjugating species with an iron fist. And now they had turned their eyes toward Earth, a relatively new member of the galactic community. Earth joins the Galactic Assembly. Humanity had only recently joined the Galactic Assembly, an interstellar organization aimed at fostering cooperation and peace among the stars. Earth was seen as the underdog, a primitive planet compared to the technologically advanced civilizations that made up the Assembly. The Galactic Empire, in particular, looked down on Earth with disdain. Captain Stephen Thompson's mission. Captain Stephen Thompson was the commander of the EFS Relentless, one of Earth's most advanced stealth frigates. His mission was to patrol the fringes of Assembly space, avoiding confrontations and gathering intelligence. But fate had other plans. The Betazoid freighter attack. One fateful day, the Relentless encountered a Betazoid freighter under attack by Imperial raiders. The freighter was defenseless, its crew panicking as their ship was torn apart. Thompson knew he had to act. He ordered his crew to engage the raiders, driving them off and saving the Betazoid ship from certain destruction. Captain Odin's warning. The freighter's captain, a grizzled Betazoid named Odin, was grateful for the rescue but warned Thompson of the consequences. "The Empire won't stand for this," Odin said, his brow furrowed with concern. "They'll come for you, for Earth, for this interference." The Empire's ultimatum. As if on cue, the Empire sent an indignant hail. The representative's sneering face filled the view screen. "You primitives will pay for your insolence," he spat. Ultimatums were delivered. The Empire demanded Thompson be court-martialed and the Relentless handed over as spoils. Earth's diplomatic response was firm. They would not comply. Earth's hero and grim realities. Back on Earth, Thompson was hailed as a hero for his daring rescue. But his superiors wore grim faces, knowing full well the Empire's retribution was imminent. The question was not if, but when and where the hammer would fall. Empire's propaganda and Assembly politics. The Empire's propaganda machine went into overdrive. Media outlets across the galaxy painted humanity as warmongering savages. On the Assembly floor, speeches warned that Earth's actions threatened to destabilize the delicate balance of power. Behind closed doors, Imperial agents bribed and blackmailed representatives, cutting backroom deals. The Assembly voted to impose harsh trade sanctions on Earth. Economic strain and growing unrest. Humanity's fledgling economy reeled under the impact. Imports of critical resources were choked off, and the cost of fuel and goods skyrocketed. Massive layoffs rippled across industries, leading to unrest and protests in Earth's cities. Citizens demanded action, but Earth's supposed allies started to drift away. Odin's forewarning and the coming invasion. At a diplomatic function, Odin pulled Thompson aside, his face grim. "The Empire is threatening to cut off our access to the Anteri trade corridor if we don't fall in line," Odin said. "My government has no choice but to comply. We can't risk open confrontation with the Empire. Not over this." Imperial mobilization and Earth's dilemma. Thompson knew the sanctions were just the opening salvo. The real sucker punch was still coming. He pored over intel reports with Odin, piecing together the pattern. The Empire was mobilizing its forces, masking the movements as routine training exercises. All signs pointed to an imminent invasion of Earth. Admiralty's hesitation and Thompson's frustration. Thompson brought the evidence to his superiors, urging them to bolster Earth's defenses and rally their few remaining allies. But the Admiralty balked, fearful that any aggressive moves would play right into the Empire's hands. "We can't risk being seen as the aggressors," they said. "The Empire would pounce on any pretext to paint us as warmongers." Going rogue. Frustration boiled in Thompson's veins. The Empire was outmaneuvering Earth, and the leadership was paralyzed by indecision. But time was running out. He found Odin waiting for him, concern etched on his craggy face. "What did the brass say?" Odin asked. "They going to finally get off their asses and do something?" "Phantom Squad." Thompson shook his head grimly. "They're too scared of looking like the bad guys. They'd rather bury their heads in the sand than risk a confrontation." Odin spat on the ground. "Cowards. So what's the plan? We just going to sit around and wait for the Empire to blast us all to space dust?" A slow smile spread across Thompson's face. "Not a chance. If the higher-ups won't act, then it's up to us. We need to take matters into our own hands. Gather the crew. We're going rogue." Building a coalition. Odin's eyes gleamed with anticipation. "About damn time. What's the play, Captain?" "We're going to expose the Empire's plans, shove the proof right in the Assembly's faces, make it impossible for them to ignore what's coming. But we'll need help. There have to be others out there who see through the Empire's facade. Other captains, other crews who are tired of being pushed around. It's time to start building a coalition of the willing, reaching out to allies." In hidden corners of the ship, in darkened cargo bays, and through encrypted comm channels, Thompson and his loyal officers began reaching out to their network of contacts and allies. Men and women of principle who had chafed under the Empire's yoke for too long, species who had been bullied and exploited, yearning to strike back. The Galactic resistance began to take shape. A dangerous game. It was a dangerous game they were playing. Defying orders, operating outside official channels. If they were caught, they'd be branded as traitors and mutineers. But the stakes were too high. The Empire had to be stopped, and Thompson knew he might be the only one with the guts to do what needed to be done. Preparing for the future. As he stood on the bridge of the Relentless, watching the stars slide by, Thompson felt the weight of the future pressing down on him. The fate of Earth, of the galaxy itself, might very well rest on the actions of one rebellious crew. He turned to his helmsman, a steely glint in his eye. "Set course for the Anteri sector. We've got an Empire to bring down." The formation of Phantom Squad. Phantom Squad's mission. In the shadowed depths of the Relentless, Thompson gathered his trusted crew. They were the best of the best, handpicked for their skills and unwavering loyalty. Odin stood at his side, the freighter captain's presence a reassuring constant in the midst of the chaos. Thompson's voice was low and urgent as he addressed the assembled team. "From this moment forward, we are Phantom Squad. We operate in the shadows, gathering the evidence we need to expose the Empire's true intentions. The fate of Earth and the galaxy rests on our shoulders." Covert missions. Nods of iron will circle the room. They all knew the risks, the price of failure. But they were ready to pay it. Phantom Squad launched a series of covert missions, striking at the heart of the Empire's military machine. They infiltrated secret bases, intercepted encrypted transmissions, and pieced together a chilling picture of the Empire's plans. Discovery of the Devastator. The intelligence they gathered confirmed Thompson's worst fears. The Empire had been constructing a massive fleet in a hidden star system, far from prying eyes. Warships filled with advanced weaponry, easily capable of overwhelming Earth's defenses. It was an invasion force designed not just to conquer, but to annihilate, to make an example of humanity. Phantom Squad's sabotage efforts. Phantom Squad launched tearing raids on key Imperial installations, sabotaging supply lines and shipyards. They struck hard and fast, fading into the shadows before the Empire could react. But it wasn't enough. The Empire's resources were vast, its willpower implacable. For every facility they hit, two more sprang up to take its place. They were fighting a Hydra, and they were running out of time. Desperate pleas to Earth's leadership. Thompson redoubled his efforts to warn Earth's leadership, to make them see the approaching storm. But the Empire's tentacles ran deep. Sympathizers and bot politicians blocked his every move, dismissing his evidence as fabrications and warmongering. Frustration and desperation gnawed at Thompson. The noose was tightening around Earth's neck, and they were too mired in bureaucracy and cowardice to even realize it. False flag operation. The hammer blow fell without warning. News feeds across the galaxy erupted with shocking footage of a brutal attack on a Betazoid colony. The images were damning. Earth ships raining fire on defenseless civilians, the charred ruins of homes and schools. Thompson watched in horror, his blood running cold. It was a setup, a false flag operation on a horrific scale. The Empire had sacrificed an entire colony, slaughtered innocents, just to frame Earth and turn the galaxy against them. Earth expelled from the Assembly. The Assembly convened an emergency session, the air thick with outrage and condemnation. The Empire's representatives played the wounded party, their voices dripping with righteous fury as they denounced Earth's unprovoked aggression. The vote was swift and merciless. Earth was expelled from the Assembly. Its embassy shuttered and its diplomats expelled. The Galactic Fleet was authorized to use any means necessary to contain the human threat. Phantom Squad's resolve. Thompson watched the news feeds in numb horror, his heart sinking as the full weight of the Empire's machinations crashed down upon him. They had played right into the enemy's hands, dancing to their tune like puppets on a string. Earth stood alone, friendless and forsaken, as the amassed forces of the Galactic Fleet converged on the isolated planet. The Empire had painted a target on humanity's back, and now the assembled might of 100 worlds was aimed squarely at their homeworld. Time was running out. The final confrontation. The final confrontation was coming, and Thompson knew that the survival of Earth and the fate of humanity would be decided in the fires of war. Phantom Squad had to move fast, had to find a way to clear Earth's name and expose the Empire's treachery before it was too late. He turned to his crew, his eyes hard with grit. "We've got one last play, one last attempt. We need proof, incontrovertible evidence of the Empire's deception, and I think I know where to find it." Infiltrating the Empire's flagship. Odin raised an eyebrow, a glint of understanding in his eyes. "The Devastator." Thompson nodded grimly. "We infiltrate the Empire's flagship, hack their systems, and broadcast the truth to the entire galaxy. Expose their lies and false flags for all to see." Odin's face was set with determination. "It's a suicide mission," he said flatly. "That ship will be crawling with Imperial troops, and the security will be tighter than Axion steel. Taking the risk." "I know the risks," Thompson said, his voice quiet but firm. "But it's our only chance. Earth needs us. The galaxy needs us. We have to try." A final stand. Phantom Squad stood in silence, the weight of the moment settling on their shoulders. They had started this journey together, and they would see it through to the end, whatever the cost. Thompson's eyes swept over his crew, his brothers and sisters in arms. "We've got a galaxy to save. Let's get to work." Approaching the shipyard, the Relentless sliced through the void, engines burning hot as they set course for the hidden Imperial shipyards. One ship, one crew against the might of an empire. The odds were impossible. The stakes were everything. But they were Phantom Squad, and they would not go quietly into the night. They would rage against the dying of the light, and they would make the Empire pay for every inch of ground. Earth's fate hung in the balance, and the clock was ticking down to zero. The final battle was about to begin. The final assault. Preparing for the mission. In the cramped confines of the Relentless, Thompson gathered Phantom Squad. "Listen up," he said, his voice steady. "We have one shot to stop an invasion and save Earth from annihilation. Odin's Betazoid contacts will get us inside the Empire's secret shipyard. Once we're in, we find the proof that the Empire has been playing everyone and broadcast it across the galaxy." The infiltration plan. Odin slapped a data chip into Thompson's hand. "Insurgents risked their lives for those codes. That's our ticket through the Empire's security net." Thompson nodded. "We're not going to let their sacrifice be in vain." He turned to his pilot. "Fire up the stealth drive. Plot a course along the covert route the Betazoids provided. We slip in quiet, stick to the shadows." Entering the shipyard. As the Relentless vanished into a cloaked hyperspace jump, Thompson reviewed the shipyard schematics. The facility was a fortress, bristling with weapons and shielding. Getting in would be a challenge, but he had a few tricks up his sleeve. Landing at the shipyard. The ship shuddered as it dropped out of hyperspace on the edge of the system. The massive shipyard hung in the void, a sprawling complex of docks and construction bays. Thompson's eyes narrowed as he spotted the Devastator, the Empire's doomsday weapon, looming at the heart of the facility. "Transmit the stolen codes," Thompson ordered. "Let's hope they hold up." Inside the facility, 10 seconds ticked by as they waited for a response. Finally, the comm crackled. "Codes verified. You are cleared for approach. Dock 7A. Thompson allowed himself a tight smile. "We're in." He turned to his crew. "Gear up. We hit the ground running." Gathering evidence. Phantom Squad moved like ghosts through the shipyard's corridors, bypassing security checkpoints with forged credentials and quick thinking. They sliced into terminals, siphoning data on fleet movements and invasion plans. The evidence was damning, painting a picture of an empire poised to crush Earth beneath its heel. Alarms triggered, but as they delved deeper, alarms began to blare. "Intruder alert. Unauthorized access detected." Thompson cursed. "They've made us. We're out of time." He slammed a data drive into the terminal, initiating an upload. "We need to transmit this evidence now, before they cut us off." Defending the terminal, Odin and the others took up defensive positions as Thompson worked frantically. Shouts and pounding boots echoed down the corridors as Imperial troops closed in. Odin tossed Thompson a rifle. "Whatever happens, the truth has to get out. We'll buy you the time you need." The battle begins. Blaster fire erupted as the first wave of Imperial soldiers burst into the room. Phantom Squad unleashed a hail of return fire, dropping the troopers in their tracks. But more kept coming, an endless tide of white armor and flashing weapons. Completing the upload, Thompson's hands flew over the terminal, routing the evidence through a dizzying array of relays and encrypted channels. He had to ensure the transmission couldn't be blocked or traced. The squad fought with steadfast perseverance, making the Empire pay for every inch of ground. But they were badly outnumbered, and the enemy's superior firepower was taking its toll. Finishing the transmission, a searing bolt caught Odin in the shoulder, spinning him to the ground. Thompson gritted his teeth and kept working, even as the walls around him exploded into showers of sparks and shrapnel. At last, the terminal beeped in confirmation. The evidence was away, speeding toward every corner of the galaxy. Phantom Squad's sacrifice. Thompson allowed himself a moment of satisfaction before a blaster bolt took him in the chest, slamming him back against the console. As darkness closed in around him, Thompson heard Odin's voice, rough with pain but filled with fierce pride. "You did it, Captain. You gave Earth a fighting chance." Thompson smiled through bloody teeth. "Give them hell, Odin. Give them hell." And with that, he slipped into unconsciousness, the sounds of battle fading away as Phantom Squad made their last stand against the might of the Empire. The assembly reacts. As Thompson slipped into unconsciousness, the evidence of the Empire's deception raced through the galaxy's communication networks. In the heart of the assembly, representatives watched in stunned silence as the damning recordings played out on the main view screen. Whispers turned to shouts of outrage as the extent of the Empire's treachery became clear. The Betazoid ambassador speaks. The Betazoid ambassador leaped to his feet, his face contorted with fury. "The Empire has manipulated us all. They orchestrated this conflict to seize power and destroy Earth. One by one, the Empire's allies began to distance themselves, unwilling to be associated with such blatant aggression. The assembly floor descended into chaos as accusations flew and alliances crumbled. Grand Admiral Zor's declaration. But in the midst of the turmoil, Grand Admiral Zor's image flickered to life on the interface. His eyes blazed with cold rage as he addressed the assembly. "Do not be deceived by this human trickery. These so-called recordings are nothing more than fabrications designed to turn you against us. He jabbed a finger at the screen, his voice rising to a crescendo. The humans have shown their true colors. They infiltrated our shipyards, murdered our soldiers, and now they seek to sow discord among us. This is an act of war, and the Empire will respond accordingly. Empire's retaliation. As Zor's transmission cut out, alarm klaxons began to blare throughout Earth's defenses. Sensor arrays lit up as the Empire's fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the edge of the system, weapons primed and ready. The battle for Earth. Earth's defenders prepare. On the bridge of the Relentless, Odin helped a battered Thompson into the command chair. The Imperator is leading the charge. Zor's not pulling any punches. Thompson gritted his teeth against the pain, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Empire's fleet outnumbered Earth's defenders 3-1, and their ships bristled with advanced weaponry. It was a daunting sight, but he refused to back down. Formulating a plan. Signal all ships, Thompson commanded. Assume defensive formation Delta 6. Concentrate fire on the Imperator's escorts. We need to isolate Zor's flagship. As the two fleets closed in, the void lit up with the flashes of energy weapons and the streaking trails of torpedoes. The Earth ships fought with desperate courage, weaving through the enemy fire and striking back with every weapon at their disposal. But the Empire's superior numbers and technology began to take their toll. Earth ships exploded into fireballs as the Empire's weapons found their marks. The comms crackled with desperate cries for help and the screams of the dying. A desperate gambit. Thompson's hands clenched on the armrests as he watched his fleet being cut to pieces. They couldn't match the Empire's firepower head-on. They needed an edge, a way to even the odds. His mind raced, sifting through every scrap of knowledge they had gleaned about the Imperator during their covert operations. And then it hit him. The shield generator weakness. The shield generator, he muttered. Odin, do you remember that weird fluctuation we picked up in their shield harmonics? Odin nodded, his eyes widening in realization. Yeah, every time they fired the main cannon. You think? Thompson nodded. It's a long shot, but it might be our only chance. If we can hit that generator with everything we got the moment they dropped their shields to fire, we could punch a hole right through their defenses. Odin finished. Then let's do it. Calling Viper Squadron. Thompson turned to his comms officer. Get me Viper Squadron. I have a mission for our best pilots. As the Relentless surged forward, Thompson outlined his plan. It was a desperate gamble, but if it worked, they might just have a chance to turn the tide of battle and save Earth from annihilation. The attack begins. The fighters of Viper Squadron streaked ahead of the fleet, dodging and weaving through the maelstrom of enemy fire. They had one target, one objective, the Imperator's shield generator. Timing the attack, Thompson watched the tactical display with bated breath, his heart pounding in his ears. Everything hinged on the next few moments. The Imperator's main cannon began to glow, the telltale sign that it was preparing to fire. Thompson's finger hovered over the comm button, waiting for the right moment. The critical moment. The Imperator's shields flickered and died, the generator powering down for a split second as the cannon discharged. Thompson slammed his hand down on the button. Viper Squadron now. Hit that generator with everything you've got. The Imperator's destruction. The fighters dove in, missiles and plasma cannons blazing. The generator exploded in a blinding flash of light, and the Imperator's shields collapsed like a house of cards. All ships, focus fire on the Imperator. Thompson roared. Take her down. The Earth fleet surged forward, pouring a relentless barrage of fire into the unprotected flagship. Explosions blossomed across the Imperator's hull as its armor buckled and melted under the onslaught. Grand Admiral Zor's last stand. On the bridge of the Imperator, Grand Admiral Zor staggered as his ship shuddered and groaned around him. Consoles exploded in showers of sparks, and the stench of burning metal filled the air. Shields down. An officer shouted. Hull breaches on deck 7 through 12. Zor's face twisted in rage and disbelief. How could this be happening? How could the mighty Imperator, pride of the Empire, be brought low by these primitive upstarts? As the ship lurched and tilted beneath his feet, Zor saw the Relentless looming on the viewscreen, its weapons hammering into the Imperator's exposed flank. The human ship was battered and scarred, but still fighting, still defiant.